A 2-0 victory over Panama guarantees England top spot in Group L. Meanwhile, Croatia with a 2-1 victory over Ghana guarantees second. Croatia then through to the next round where they'll face Portugal. For England, it's going to be through to the round. Who are they playing? I forgot. DR Congo. 3 players are used to these moments. They play Champions League and Europa League to the end. They know what it takes. Will we step it up? The bigger the game gets, the bigger we will get. There is no problem growing into a tournament like this. We have strong belief and trust in each other. It is important we keep believing in what we can influence and what we can improve. The most important thing is not to be afraid and be brave. England get the job done, but again, it was uninspiring. Is that fair to say?
It's very fair, and I tend to agree with a little bit of what Thomas Tuchel's saying. The contradiction to that is when they come up against better sides, they'll get beat. Because they've done this when they went to the Euros and they got beat off Spain in the final. It was uninspiring.
But they did make it to the final.
Yeah, but it was a boring watch all the way along to the final. And then as soon as Spain come along, they'll take the ball away from them. That's when they'll struggle. This side can't beat Spain. This side can't beat France. Can't beat Argentina. Not the way they're playing at the minute. But what Thomas Tuchel's saying there is they can grow into the tournament because they've got Champions League experience, most of them. So I get that, and I believe that a little bit, but they've got to improve, surely. Because when you look at, apart from Harry Kane, when you look at the likes of Bellingham, who scored today and got an assist, Morgan Rogers, you look at the wide players on the left, wide players on the right, they should be playing better football.
That's a bit unfair. Bellingham was the best player on the pitch.
That's what I said. I said that, but what I'm saying is, if you've got Rashford on the left, or Gordon, or Saka or Madueke, they're good players. They're players. Some of the players have won the Premier League. Some players, a lot of the players have played in the Champions League. Bellingham done his bit today, but they need more. The back four worries me. It's not the strongest back four in the competition, so they have to be a team that gets goals because you come up against the best. If that team plays France score 2 goals.
But you say that about every team.
Yeah. But I think it's fair when you analyse England. They're going to concede a goal. So they're going to have to score 2 or 3 goals to beat the best sides. He's saying they need to improve, and I believe that they need to.
Is there an argument to say there's going to be more space against teams that Don are talking
100%.
about? So in that sense, England will be able to play to their strengths?
Absolutely. 100%. You know, we can talk about every single thing that Thomas Tuchel said that you can't argue with. Mm-hmm. If you want to be critical, you can say, well, you know what, in a game like this, you need somebody with a bit of imagination, somebody with a bit more guile, because this England side is not set up for players with guile.
Okay.
And they can do something differently. This side is set up to be strong and to be at pace, and then use the individual talent to win games. And they can beat anybody. England could beat anybody on the day. They could, because they have got strength and pace. And
I don't believe that, Stevie.
And when they come up against the so-called better teams, then there's going to be more space for them to use that power and use that pace. We see them struggling against teams that sit in tight because that's what they're all about. And that's why they struggled. But guess what they did? They wore them down. And that's what they're built for. They're built for either to get up teams at pace or they're going to out-muscle them and be too strong. And that's all they did today. I've never seen a team in this era when teams won't cross the ball. England fired in how many crosses today? And that is just pressure. And that's what England are all about. And that's why they can beat any teams that are playing. And we can talk about Spain. We can sit and talk about Spain the way we're talking about England. I mean, Williams, not even fit. Yamal, is he going to be 100%? You know, so other than France,
well, that's it.
All the other teams, England absolutely are capable of beating them, and on the day they could beat France as well. In my opinion,
I don't buy it. I know what you're saying, where they'll be better against better opposition because they'll be allowed to play more rather than playing against low blocks. But when you watch France play, France have got the lot. So when you say they can beat anyone,
well, they can. They can on the day. I agree with you defensively.
Right, let me ask you a question.
I do agree with you defensively that they could have a problem.
The best version of France and the best version of England, France win 9 times out of 10.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean to say that they can't beat them. If we're going to sit here and say the best of everybody, then, well, we're all going to say France. But football doesn't work that way. Again, you've got to play the game, you've got to turn up, and you've got to use all the things that supposedly that you have that are better than all the other teams. I'm just saying that on the day, England could beat anybody, including France.
Let's just take a look at England's side of the bracket and what they have coming up. DR Congo, as I mentioned before, finishing third in their group means that England will face them in the round of 32, and then in theory it will be Mexico in the round of 16 in Mexico. By the way, and then you go through to the quarterfinals where it will be Brazil. Let's start off for the round of 32. DR Congo got that draw against Portugal. They know how to play in that opening game. Am I stretching it to say this won't be a pushover?
No, I think DR Congo will give England the game, but I think England will win. I think surely you have to have that belief if you're England, if you're Thomas Tuchel, you've got to drum it into the players and the quality that England have got. You have to fancy England will beat Congo. But they'll give them a game.
Yeah, the only thing you know is Congo's not going to give it to them.
Right.
So they're going to have a level of performance that does overcome Congo, which I think they will, but it ain't going to be a walk in the park.
And then the next round, Mexico, which could be a lot of fun.
Listen, on a rainy Saturday afternoon at 3 o'clock, England would beat Mexico every day of the week.
Right.
The problem is the game's in Mexico City, and that completely changes it. You know, I'm talking about one of the strengths of England is their strength. That's going to be tested. Altitude in Mexico City, big time. That's going to be their biggest problem. I don't think Mexico, as a unit and as individuals, are close to England really, but it's in Mexico City.
And given that, if I was to give you a choice between Mexico and Ecuador, if you were England, because we saw what Ecuador did to Germany.
Yeah. I don't think there's much between those two sides, Ecuador and Mexico. I don't think people who have never been to altitude or ran or tried to play football can ever understand how difficult it is. And I think, off the top of my head, I think England have got 3 days to try and prepare where you need at least a week.
Right.
So that's going to be, the conditions are going to be the hardest part for England if they get Mexico.
I think I would rather play Ecuador if I was England.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, you got the crowd behind you.
Yeah.
And it's in the altitude of Mexico City. Ecuador are a good, strong side. We'll have a good support, but they're one of those teams that I don't know where the goals are coming from, quite frankly. So if I was England, I would prefer Ecuador, not Mexico City.
And then in theory, England go through, and then it'll be Brazil.
I think so.
In the quarterfinals. We'll be seeing what the boys think about that in their bracket a little later on.